Welcome to Business Doctor. We are here after having discussed topics on various subjects like cardinal rules to some techniques like start, continue, stop. Then we discuss about the listening, communication, and about learning as well. Well, there are quite a few things that still need to be discussed on those lines. I save it for an appropriate time in the future. After discussing a few topics or few other areas you need to know, then I'll come back to those topics and merge with that flow. Now let's move on to begin a life in profession. Starting a profession is tougher nowadays, but equally tough is that once you get onto that, staying on that till the day you feel retired. Because you need to earn, you need to do a lot of things in life with that earnings. So this opens out a topic which is like job or work or career. That we will see it along the course in detail. Now let's start with when you join the profession. Obviously, you won't know who would be your teammate, who would be your subordinate, or whom you would be your boss or a manager or a department head. So in that sense, it is luck that drives the your fate for that matter. But the general advice is that where there is a steep learning curve, okay, which means you have to put in a lot of effort in learning. We discussed about learning in the last couple of videos. So where there is a deep learning curve and there is a strong training, which means you should have an open mindset. We will discuss about mindset in a separate topic, in a separate video. But at this point, you should have a open mindset, maybe a rigorous mindset to learn a training which is going to impart knowledge and skill to you. So though you don't have a choice to choose, but you have to see that you are on that track to learn faster. Even if you fail is also okay, but fail faster so that you can learn and then move on. Then you should be trained, right? So you need to go through a lot of practical stuff, maybe hands-on training or on-job training, or maybe a knowledge. So, or in that vicious circle of knowledge, skill, conundrums. So you have to be on training from that day onwards till the day you decide to call off. Then when you start your career or a job, the impressions matter. The impression meaning that okay, you take a person, okay, this person is always on time, or he is whatever he says that makes sense or that is valid, or why don't I go and get an opinion from that person. So you have to create that kind of an impression that you are authentic, you are on time, or there is some value which you have to display. For that, you need to do a lot of preparations, not just one day's effort. You may have to trained on those traits as well. So you have to be always on your toes to get that authentic message out of you. The third important thing is integrity. When you start, when somebody asks you, or when you are doing something, your integrity is paramount. You cannot lose that value and do, even if you do better things, but if you don't have the integrity, today you say something, tomorrow you tell something to somebody else, or you lie, or you cheat, or or any of those such negative things, that will create not only an impression, it's going to be detrimental for your job or career. So create a personality where your honesty, integrity is part of your value system, and you have to not only you imbibe that, you have to also display that as part of your work. As we start in the first, like learning is a steep learning curve, it's a perpetual learning. The moment you get onto that job till you retire or you call off that day, till that time you have to be, technically you are competing with others need not be your known people. It could be a set of unknown people from your own land, or from a foreign land, or from your own city, or from some other city, or from your own friends, or some other circle. So it's as a perpetual competition you are getting into. You recall our discussion on change management. So anything that is going to change, you getting into the job means it's for you it is a job. For somebody, they are parting, no, they are part of that job. That's what they think, whether it is true or not. That's how they think. So you are going to take away something from that person's life or career, or remuneration. So if the job also grows and if the number of people also grows, then it's a direct proportion, then it's not an issue. But job is small, or the amount of workforce is small, and if I get into that space, then I'm likely to be depriving that benefit to somebody else. So it's always a competition, it's a threat. That's how the others will look at it, whether you look at it today or not. But once you grow up in the ladder, probably you will also think down the line. But today, when you enter, it is you are getting into a perpetual competition. That's what you should have it in mind. The other important point, which is the trust. If you don't have the trust, or if others don't have a trust on you, that ends the matter. Then irrespective of whether you are today here or up the ladder, or you have reached the highest or pinnacle position in your organization or in your life, if you don't have a trust, then it is it's going to have a very, very negative impact and a detrimental impact, not only on you, on the people surrounding you, the company. The trust is basically the brand about yourself, brand about the company, or brand about something which you are going to work on. So when you say something, you must ensure that that is fulfilled. Okay, or if you are honest enough, and in case it is not possible, go back to the person and say that, yeah, for these reasons I couldn't do that, and this is what I feel is a mistake, which I will correct it next time. That people will be in a position to agree with you, even if you say any number of times. But if you start lying and start managing the lies, then the whole thing is going to collapse, if not today, down the line. So build a value system in which you not only you and your people, your surroundings, your subordinates, your bosses, your peers, everybody is there in a system where it's as a dependable, trustworthy system. Though it's very easier to say, it's very hard to practice. But if everybody is going to fail, then not only you, the country's economy, that state's economy, your family's economy, or financial position, or your own financial position, everything is going to be jeopardized. So you have to ensure that you are going to create a trust. That's the very, very basic things. That's how a lot of countries work. There are a lot of countries which do not follow trust. They say something, but they won't do that. They will give a very cheap reason, and end of the day, second time, third time, then they won't even call you. Okay, then you will be wondering why, what happened. So always be truthful. So when you are truthful, then you don't need to remember anything, because it always comes out of you. Anything, whether it is a status or is it a communication, be always truthful. So to the point, and you may have tactics and other things that we will discuss later. But being truthful does not, means that you don't need to remember anything. That means you are not likely to lie, which means it is going to give you that level of trust which is required out of you. The other important factor is ask, like ASK. Okay, the A stands for either availability or attitude. Attitude is, of course, it has to be inbuilt. So unless you have the right attitude to do certain things, which is again a mindset that we will discuss later, as I said. So attitude has to be inbuilt in as part of your DNA. Okay, so I'm not going to discuss about that attitude for a moment. I'm going to discuss about your availability. The availability is that you may be excellent, you may be you have the knack of solving any kind of problems in life, and you are absolutely knowledgeable, but you are not available to me, or you are not available to your manager, or someone is not available to you to solve a problem. Then there is no use. So in an organization, you have to ensure that you are available, which means you are amenable to certain conditions, which you may have to forego certain things, you may have to take advantage of certain things. So you have to ensure that you are available at if when I say all times wherever it is required or applicable. The the S stands for skill. We discuss about some skills that, and again, when we discuss about the other things, we will discuss about various other skills which you need to have. Then the knowledge. Okay, so in some places knowledge has to be high enough and skill could be lower. Okay, but in some places skill needs to be higher and knowledge could be lower. Okay, but there is nothing wrong in knowing many things, but just knowing is not going to solve the problem. You have to apply, as we discussed in the learning. You need to apply, and so you should ensure that you don't get into the negative space of having known certain things. You cannot ask an embarrassing question or untimely unwanted question to embarrass others, because you have an ego to tell others that I know. That's not the right attitude. You should have the knowledge for the right attitude. You should have the skills for with the right attitude for the purpose. So this ASK, you have it in mind, just as an ask, which you have to have it in mind. So this leads to a basic question. If you recall correctly, we discussed about when you start a profession, you are going to do that for a job or for a work or a career. There are differences which you can search in internet. Okay, what is the difference between all these things? But I want to give you an illustration. Like you are tasked to bring a brick. Okay, so what I'll do is that when someone says, then I'll go and get a brick from somewhere and give it to that person, or keep it somewhere. This I can repeatedly do n number of times. I don't know why I am doing, I don't know why I am asked to do that. I'll be keeping on doing. The other kind of work is that I feel that, okay, the brick is not there, so I have to bring the brick. So I take that ownership of bringing the brick, if not from the place, regular place, or it might be from some other place. I have to go get that and fill the gap. The third one is like, yeah, I want to build a wall, so I am getting a brick. The next level is I want to build a room, so there also the brick is required. I want to build a house, there also a brick is required. I want to build a palace, brick is required. So the task per se may be same, but depending upon what I want to do in life, whether I am going to tomorrow I am going to build a palace for myself or for someone, then taking the brick and keeping it there is a different perspective than when someone says, hey, go and get the brick. So there are various levels. So you have to think in what level you are contributing to this. If you are going to contribute for a bigger vision, bigger purpose, that purpose may be yours, or maybe place where you work for, that company's or that company's owner's vision. Okay, so you are going to contribute for a bigger purpose. In that sense, you need to think through, okay, what for you are going to work for. So if you are looking at it simply a job, like when someone says you will be doing that ever, and the growth is also limited to the extent of wherever there is a task for someone to bring the brick, you will be available to bring the brick. But if you are going to build a palace, then the bigness of it, the magnitude of it, the scale of it, okay, the way you visualize the grandeur vision of it, then it gives you a different pleasure, different perspective. I'm not going to touch upon how to create, but still the palace is designed and you are going to contribute to the building of it. There are different kinds of happiness for creating it that we will discuss later again. So this brings you to a basic question of whether you are responsible or accountable, or you are going to take the ownership of the whole stuff. So when you are going to do the palace, it's not just a responsibility. You have to own that, yes, it is my palace, or I am going to build that palace. That kind of responsibility, that kind of ownership you need to take, which includes ownership, accountability, and responsibility. On the other hand, if you are going to build some small village, or small home or a house or a wall or something, probably that will come down to a level of accountability, which includes the work to be done by you and your team or your peers or your manager or your subordinate, that kind of an environment. Whereas the responsibility is purely or mostly related to your task or slightly a peripheral of yours, like maybe a touch point with your colleague or something, or a peer or parallel organization. So think about which one you want to do it in your life, starting from day one to the day you want to come out of that cycle. So that is going to drive you the passion which we discussed. So you have to set your passion accordingly and work for that. Remember this, salary people get as part of their work, which is common everywhere. Any country gives you either in salary or wages or something. But it is very important that the message you are communicating with that salary or the task you are executing is not just the task you are doing it for which the salary is paid. You are paid for the level of the problems in the organization you are trying to solve. That is what the mindset which you should think is not like, I'm doing this, so I'm getting this much salary. It is not that. That work is going to solve a problem or a part of the problem in the organization's vision or that purpose or their goal, okay, which you are going to be part of. So you have to always remember that. So just to quickly recap on this, your work should speak for you, not your words or not what you communicate. Your work should speak for you, and you don't try to be busy doing certain things. Let it be productive so that your personal goal as well as the place where you belong to doing that work, that organization or that setup's goal also has to be achieved. And always remember that you need to give the outcomes. We discussed about results as part of the change management discussions, which is quality of the answer and the acceptance of the answer. So your outcomes has to be, you need to produce outcomes. That outcomes can happen only when you put in the effort. Without effort, there is no outcome. The outcome is obvious, which will be a failure, whatever you are trying to do. So you may have to follow the steps or the process and still you may get a negative result. That is, in my opinion, that's perfectly okay, as long as there is a result. Result might be, or result or outcome might be successful or a failure. That's a different issue. But without putting an effort, any effort, or without putting a reasonable effort or time and energy onto that work, then if you think that no, I'm not going to get the result, then that sets in a very negative attitude, and it is going to have a detrimental effect on your life. So there should be always an outcome out of the effort you put in, not because of the natural happenings of someone's effort or based on time, whatever that outcomes are. But you have to put in the effort to get the outcome. So simple line, okay, as a few people quoted in the internet as well. If you are going to do the job, what you want to do, then you will be always doing the job, whatever others have told you. So the actual phrase is like this: if you only want to do what you have to do, you will always have to do what you are told to do. So which means that you have to think from the day you join to the day you want to quit and be out of this learning or professional cycle. So you have to have that in mind. Start working on those things. In the upcoming things, we will be opening up new topics as I discussed in the start, and also discuss about the various tasks and how a task is getting assigned, or the qualities the assigner should have, and the person who is going to receive the task, what he or she has to have. Those things we will discuss in the upcoming videos over a period of time. Hope this helps you in starting your career. And I always would like someone to start a career, not a job. That's my view. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you. Have a great day. Cheers.